Hello and welcome to the Yeah But podcast with our guest today, Liane Davey. Liane, I'd like our audience to know a little bit more about you, and bios are just so one-dimensional. So tell us something about you, two things personal, two things professional, and why it would matter to our audience.
Okay, I guess the first thing professional would be I'm trained in organizational psychology. So my PhD is organizational psychology. And the second thing, I've dedicated my career to helping people achieve amazing things together. So whereas lots of people in IO psychology focus on individuals, I focus on teams. So, and why should people care? Well, probably because almost everything we have to accomplish in the modern world, from putting a person on Mars to making an Egg McMuffin, requires a team. And so we should care a lot about whether we do that efficiently and effectively or painfully. Personally, I'm a mom of two daughters who are now about to be 23 and 19. So I just became an empty nester. And an avid traveler. So 6 continents so far. Not super keen to go to Antarctica, but you do get to that point where you're like, there's one thing not checked off on the list. So maybe it'll happen at some point. And why does that matter? Because a lot of the strategies I talk about, a lot of the psychology of working in teams is just as relevant in families and in raising teenagers. And so some of what we talk about today, the audience might be like, oh, I'm going to try that with my team. But some of it you might be like, I'm going to try that with my teen. So either of those.
That's fantastic. It's so important. I love how when people relate personal and professional life, because they're really inseparable. I mean, if you try to separate it, how well does that work? We see that as a big fail. And you know that from actually a scientific reason why that would help fail. But it's great to see you living it out and be excited about being an empty nester on top of that as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I heard you have some yeah buts. Even though you're a best-selling author, you've done all these amazing things, you got all this education. You as well have some yeah buts that you have worked through?
Of course. I'm still human. I remember one day in graduate school bumping into one of my professors at the grocery store, and he was wearing jeans. And I had this like my first reaction was like, you grocery shop? And I was like, what? What? And he kind of looked at me like, what did you think I did? So yes, I write about all these hard things, and yes, they're hard for me too, because I also grocery shop.
It's interesting how people think that people that write about things or do things that they have it all figured out. So one of your yeah buts is, yeah, but it's not safe. What is that about?
Conflict. So, I always say there are 2 reasons people write a book. So one, they were born as that person who's just naturally, innately great at something and they need to tell the world, right? The other is that it's something that they really, really suck at, and they had to dedicate years of their lives and blood, sweat, and tears to figuring it out and cracking the code. And now they really want to share what they learned. So for me with conflict, it's the latter. I naturally am absolutely horrible at conflict. I really hate it. It makes my palms sweat. And so it's not safe. So it's not safe because what if they don't like me after they say that? What if it slows things down? We need to move this business faster. And what if disagreeing now slows things down? We can't afford to slow things down, right? What if I say something and it's wrong? What if they think I'm not competent? Boy, our nervous narrators in our heads can come up with a lot of yeah buts about why it might not be safe. And some of them are about things going on in our teams, but some of them, as they say in the horror movies, some of the calls are coming from inside the house. So some of it's imposter syndrome or it's perfectionism. And nobody on your team has done anything to make it feel unsafe. but your nervous narrators concocted this wonderful tale, not wonderful, this sort of horror flick about, what's going to happen, who's hiding behind the door. So it's not safe that's real for me and for everybody I know.
Yeah, and safety is an illusion, isn't it? Sometimes what we think safety is, because in the book I talk about, and I'm sure you speak about, how what we think is safe, we're actually putting off in someone's hands we don't know, haven't tested. Like even when people make us a meal at a restaurant, we think that's safety because you're like, well, it's a restaurant. And then you read the reviews later, you're like, wow, I ate at a restaurant that had a 60 out of 100. I can't believe I actually trusted them.
I think it's both sides. So I completely agree with you. Things that we think are safe, some illusion of security and predictability and safety is just an illusion. But also some things that we think are unsafe are perfectly safe, right? We are not great arbiters of safe or unsafe, and we make the mistakes on both sides. So we feel overconfident in some situations, and we feel fear when there's probably nothing threatening that's actually going on. So doing a variety of things to better calibrate in a situation. So with that restaurant, maybe I'll read the reviews before I eat the food, a calibration. Maybe after I come out of a meeting and I think my boss thinks I'm stupid, maybe I should just, ask somebody else how they thought that went. So remembering that we're very emotional decision makers, we're very easily kind of hijacked into believing that we're unsafe, and we should probably do a little work to work on our but.
Yes. Well, thanks for that. And thanks for those tips, because I think we overlook so many times just asking questions, being curious, validating our thoughts or our impressions of things, doing a little more research. How do we look at the fundamentals, some of these basic things, and go back to it? How do we do that in a way where, is it reading books? Is it doing things? Is it talking to you? I mean, how do we do that?
Yeah, so I think start with yourself, right? So just reflecting. And reflect in a way that works for you. This is what you get when you get a psychologist. It's all about individual differences. So if you're a writer, for me, I'm a writer, so I write my thinking. But other people I need to go for a run in the woods. That's when I reflect. So I'm not saying you have to all of a sudden buy a journal and a nice pen and be a journaler, because some people are like, journaling? No. So, go for a fast run in the bush is just as good. But first start with just what situations have I been in? How was I reacting? If I was reacting that way, what story was I telling myself that justified, feeling that way? So start with yourself. But then, as I said, we have so many people around us who can be really helpful in calibrating. So, talking to folks at home, this is what happened today. Do you think I should be offended by that? Or do you think this suggests the boss thinks I'm an idiot? Or, that kind of calibration, either at home, with friends, with people we trust at work. That's a really important thing to be doing. And these sort of habits of being effective and learning to work in a world where we do have all these things kind of triggering us.
And with that, you talked about, how other people deal with conflict and you really don't enjoy it as well, even though you understand the fundamentals. But another but you said was, what will others say or think? So what a tie-in there.
Yeah, like a complete tie-in, right? So I care a lot about what other people think. I have lots of days where I wish I didn't care as much about what people think. But if I'm journaling or running in the woods and reflecting, there is no hiding from the fact that I care what other people think. So, what's been really important to me in overcoming a fear of conflict is to take my but and reframe. So, I may worry, what if they think I'm not nice? What I've had to do is say, but what if they realize I'm kind? Instead of being liked? Yeah, but will I be better respected? Will this be something, if I say this, it's going to slow things down. Yeah, but it's going to improve the quality of the product. So a lot of reframing has been important to me. So people are going to think things if I take action or don't take action. So people thinking things, I don't have control over whether people think things about me or not. They're going to be thinking things about me no matter what. So what I can take control of is, would I rather they think this or that? And often when I think about it, taking the easy, comfortable path is going to lead to people thinking things that aren't really what I want them to think. So I don't mind if people don't think I'm nice, but I care a lot if they don't think I'm kind. I don't mind if they think that was, hard to hear, but I mind a lot if they think they can't trust that what I say is what I feel. So it's been really helpful for me to say people aren't always thinking things. So it's just, what would I rather that they think about me, and how can I control some part of that?
I think I see that a lot about people, especially in certain regions of the country where it's just easier to not actually deal with conflict at all.
Yeah.
And there's pockets. I'm from the Northeast where you happy to say things and you didn't even think that was conflict. You thought that was just opinion or a fact or whatever you decided it was.
Yeah, you probably thought it was fact. Yeah. That's the problem, you Northeasterners. Like, what's the problem? It's just true. True.
Aren't you? Are Canadians a little different than Northeasterners?
just a little. We like to hang out with our Minnesota nice friends.
Yes, because they're kind of they're kind of Canadians in Minnesota. Yes. They like the cold. They have a little bit of that accent, and they are a lot nicer. Go ahead.
Yeah, although Canada is as regional at some level as the U.S. is, right? So, our Francophone population in Quebec is much better with conflict. The conflict is much more direct and out there than English-speaking Canada. Our Maritimes, the East Coast in Canada, they're just so freaking nice. Like, they just don't have any. God, they're just the best humans on the planet. So yeah, our prairies and Albertans are a little bit more like Texans. So. Yeah, there's lots of regional variation here too, but where I come from, we are the passive-aggressive sort.
Oh, yeah, and that's taking that into account to understand what people are saying behind what they're saying or not saying. That takes a lot of energy, though, doesn't it? To try to interpret, and not everyone has an advanced degree to understand how the brain works. And
yeah, exactly.
Some people are just people who have lived through experiences. And
some people have a PhD in next door neighbors and in life. Yeah.
So the average person may not know this on a intellectual level, but know it on an experiential level.
Of course.
And then we have regional differences. The more we talk about this, the more it seems like, wow, this is a heavy lift. How do we work through this? Yeah. And, it's easy for you guys. You're on podcasts, you wrote books, you do these things. It's easy.
No, it's not.
And that's the point, right? So it's just as difficult. The more you know, it's just as difficult.
I'm willing to believe it's harder for people that don't have this toolkit, but I'm not willing to say that it's not really freaking hard for us, because it is all the time. And then people are like, well, I've literally had my kids say to me at various times, like, you wrote the book on healthy conflict. Like, do better, Mom. Like, that's really embarrassing, because once you write the book on it, people have a pretty high bar, including your kids.
Hey there, it's time for a quick break. While we're diving into how to live, learn, and lead better, I wanted to let you in on something I'm really excited about. If you've ever found yourself stuck in the yeah but cycle, those moments where excuses get in your way of your potential, my new book, Yeah But, Cut Through the Noise to Live, Learn, and Lead Better, is for you. The book is packed with practical strategies, real stories, and actionable advice to help you stop making excuses and start making progress. Whether you're a leader, a learner, or just someone looking to cut through the noise, Yeah But has something for you. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can grab a chapter for free. Just head over to my website at www.marcawolfe.com/book to get started. Readers have already said that the perspective and stories guided them to get unstuck and move forward. All right, let's get back to the show and dive into more ways to break through those yeah but moments. So Liane, what's your last yeah but? I mean, you have a third one as well.
I do. What if I fail? I'm glad, this is one of those laugh so you don't cry situations. So, yeah, like what if I put myself out there? Like, let's stay on conflict, right? What if I try it and the person screams at me? Or, we talk a lot about like, what if the other person blows it? What if we blow it? What if I get up the nerve to broach this topic and then I lose my cool? What if I start yelling? And what if I fail? So here's the stupid metaphor I use for this. So imagine that your car develops a bit of a rattle, maybe a rattle and a clunk. And you're like, uh-oh, like this isn't good. And you're looking at your calendar and you're like, when am I going to find time to take this freaking car in? So you drive it for like a week with the rattle and the clunk. And then you finally take it into the shop and the mechanic, jumps in the passenger seat and you take it out for a ride. Mysteriously, rattle and clunk, gone. And there is nothing more infuriating. So I always say, you know what? You want in these situations for it to rattle and clunk. And when it does, it's okay. It's kind of the point. If you are broaching something hard, the rattle and the clunk is the point, right? So one of the interesting things is trust between humans can be okay if everything is always good. But if it turns sour and you recover and you fix it in an effective way, the trust is higher, not lower. So don't think of failing, particularly when it comes to conflict, as fait accompli, as like, well, mess that up. Guess I better go work somewhere else. Think of it as, all right, here's my chance to go for a run in the woods or journal and figure out like what was going on for me there. What happened? How do I feel about that? And then go apologize well. This is what I did. And my sense is that this is the impact it had. And I own that. And here's what I'm going to do differently, or here's how I'm going to make up for that. So failing in relationships and in conflict is the opportunity to model what better looks like, to show vulnerability while taking accountability, which is one of the most potent combinations for building trust. So what if I fail? If I fail, I pick myself up and I come back and go, that's not how I wanted to handle that, right? I did not show up yesterday like I wanted to show up. Like, if you fail, get up and fix it and know that was probably the most important opportunity to enhance trust in your relationship, not the inflection point that meant trust would never recover.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting that the perspective, because I think a lot of people think it's binary. If I fail, I'm done.
Right.
And I don't know how it is as much in Canada, but I know in North America, totally, right? We do look at failure different than they do in Asia or other parts of the world. Don't we have a lot more flexibility on what failure even looks like, or how we rebound from failure, or even the depth of how failure makes you more resilient?
Thankfully, we do, right? And I think if you want an innovation culture, as we've wanted in North America for a long time, an innovation culture demands a comfort with failure. I don't like the Silicon Valley fail fast language. I've changed because we aren't very comfortable with failure. Like, I don't want to fail fast, slow, medium, andante, So I just say, no, I want to learn fast and learn cheap, right? So there are, savvy mistakes that you can make, which is, yep, I failed. So I broached this topic with you and I thought about how I wanted to broach it and I did all that and I blew it. But you know what? That was a savvy mistake because I did think about it. I did make an effort. I still blew it, but savvy mistakes are okay. Those are noble failures. Sloppy missteps. So I didn't stop to think about it. I just blurted it out when you didn't know it was coming and I hadn't thought through any examples. And you know what? We want to avoid those. So, failure is a big word. It's not a word that I love. It's not a word that I encourage people to go after. But if you do fail, just know that it is one of the best opportunities to strengthen trust between you, to figure out what you're made of, to show people what you're made of. It's not, one of my friends, Laura Gassner-Otting, talks about it as, failure is fulcrum, not finale. So it's just a point at which you can tip the balance and find a new path forward.
It's, as we kind of look at these three buts, it's not safe. What do others think? And what if I fail? Sounds like, I think we're both saying that people can move past their buts.
Of course.
But
people have to move past your buts. Like, we could butt up the wazoo. Like, you could butt yourself to just like sit and doing absolutely nothing. Getting past. So again, as a psychologist, I would say, buts are not optional. Like, your brain is completely structured to keep you safe, right? Like the things that are most primal, the way your amygdala works, the way your frontal lobe comes online after that, like your brain is built to keep you safe. A lot of the buts are pre-conscious. They're just happening, right? So I don't think it's anything to worry about that you think the buts. Give yourself some grace on that. The thing is, do you buy into them? And when your frontal lobe comes online, it can generate a whole bunch of other options. You can debate with your unreliable narrator, and you can realize that, you know what, thank you. And you can just thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe from what people are going to think about me, or me being unsafe, or me failing. Thank you for doing your job. Now you're dismissed. I'm going to choose what I want to do. So buts are not really very optional in the way our brains work, but how we choose to weigh them alongside of other options and information, that's on us.
That's fantastic. I love that summary, and coming from your background, that has some science to back it. It's not just opinion. That actually is fact. So,
oh well, that's if I were a Northeaster, I might say that. But science isn't fact. Science is just a process that right now we think that's how it works. So I'll hedge a little like a good Canadian.
Okay, yes, and it's fact until it's proven wrong that it's not fact. It's
right.
I
do, as a total aside, I do find this interesting. Like, when people go after science, using science as a synonym for fact, I'm like, science is a process. Science is a process for uncovering fact, but it's an ongoing process. It never stops. So they're like, well, science said this was true. I'm like, well, science suggested the preponderance of evidence made that look true in 2025, but science will tell us in 2030 that we were grossly oversimplifying that. It's like, science is not the same thing as fact. And so I think people get mad at science for the fact that it evolves and changes. I'm like, nope, that's what it's supposed to do. So can we not conflate science and fact? Like, right now, the evidence we've gathered makes it seem like this is true. But, talk to me again when we figure out that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. Just a pet peeve of mine that science is a process, not
and
not a static truth.
And that's the beauty of growth, is learning what you think you knew and now seeing it in different light. And it's not being about being proved wrong. It's being, this is what we knew at this point, and now we know something different. Isn't that?
When I was defending my PhD thesis dissertation, I used a quote, which is, the test of a first-rate theory is not whether it's true or not, only whether it's useful. Like, does the theory help us create experiments, test things? a theory is not there to be true or not true. It's there to be helpful in helping us figure it, right? So like we get so wedded to these things. We will evolve. We used to think that electrons, were like a raisin bun model. I'm like, yeah, no. But that was still, Niels Bohr was still a brilliant scientist. It was still a really important step in our understanding. And I think if we could come to teams and come to conflict and come to relationships with that, like instead of that sense that everything is so static, and if you said it, like that's where you are going to stand and we're going to bronze you and put you there forever. It's like, no, like this is how I understand it right now, but I'm going to keep learning and seeing it and having new insights, and we'd get a lot further with our, and people would think better of us if we showed that we're a little bit more dynamic in how we think about things. Then we get pretty entrenched these days.
We do. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, which we can have on another episode.
Yeah, but we got to go.
So anything else that you want to leave our audience with? Because I'm sure some of their heads are spinning right now with this whole, it was all truth and caring and about themselves and ourselves. But what else can we leave them with to kind of just let them ponder? Yeah,
so I think all of these yeah buts, we've taken the angle from my book, The Good Fight, and with conflict. So we've taken that angle. So let me leave you on what people are usually very surprised when I say that we need to have more conflict. Like what we have a lot in our world is grievance, which is where we sit back to that static, like we sit in our malcontent and resentment and whatever. And conflict is actually a process where we move through that to a better outcome. So I say, like, people are like, no, we already have enough conflict. I'm like, no, we have a lot of grievance and we have very little conflict. So, what I've been trying to do is help you get over your anti-conflict yeah buts, right? These are the yeah buts that tend to prevent us from having the conflict, but leave us stuck in grievance. So the line that helps me is when I remember some things are worth fighting for. And no matter how many yeah buts I can come up with, no, this is still worth fighting for. So that's the line that helps me, because as I said, I'm terrible at this, so I have to steel myself. And that's the line that helps me.
That's fantastic. And what a great note to leave everyone with, the difference between grievance and conflict and what good conflict looks like. And your book is intense and incredible and does change lives. And that's the beauty of you putting that out there and letting people be able to get that. And as a first-time author with Yeah But, I'm just trying to get out there and have an angle that has a different way to do things. So thank you so much.
I love it because it is exactly how our brains work. But I think you need, all the stories in the book are so compelling, and like what they really tell us is that, like, we don't have to be mad at ourselves for yeah but happening in our heads. We just need to encourage ourselves to say that that's just one piece of data and we can move on.
Thank you so much, Liane. And we'll have ways to contact you on our show notes. And thank you for being on the Yeah But podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for listening to the Yeah But podcast. If today's episode provided valuable perspective on how to overcome the excuses that can hold you back, let us know in the comments. Remember, it's not about the yeah buts. It's about finding ways to live, learn, and lead better every day. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little kick to get past their yeah buts. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And for even more tips, connect with me at marcawolfe.com/podcast or on LinkedIn. Until next time, keep challenging those excuses and keep moving forward.